Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Matt LaMarsh.
You're listening to the Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, Matt.
Hey there. How are you guys?
We're good. How are you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Good.
So let's get started. So tell us a little bit about you. Kind of what do you do?
Yeah. So I am a real estate agent, a realtor here in the Atlanta area. Born and raised here in Atlanta for almost 39 years. Just knee deep, waist deep, shoulder deep in real estate in the crazy market here that we're in right now. And we're having a lot of fun doing it though.
That's awesome. So when you were younger, is this what you had planned for your future? What'd you have planned?
No. I mean, those that know me very well and are now watching this are probably saying, I know exactly what he wanted to be. It was a race car driver.
That's
really,
awesome.
really into cars and just from a young age, kind of, was always attracted to speed and going fast and anything with four wheels. So that's always been a big passion of mine that I started out with very young and now, very, very deep into the car culture here in Atlanta. And run a massive Facebook group with a ton of Porsche enthusiasts. So that's a good outlet for me it's kind of like a hobby. Obviously race car driving didn't really work out, but that was what I wanted to be when I was a kid.
I like it. Did you race anything at all?
No, I really wish I had though. I wish, a lot of these NASCAR and Indy guys and even F1 guys get into go-kart racing or something at a very young age. So I never got that opportunity, but now knowing what I know about racing, I don't think I was really made for it.
No.
I see you got that Porsche behind you.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that it's on the bucket list somewhere. So
I like it. Good for you. So how'd you go from that to being an agent? What was how'd that all happen?
Yeah, I mean, so, a couple of years back, I started my own business doing lawn care and landscaping, which one of my grandfathers had taught me, and really got deep into that world and, learning a lot about, what it takes to not just run a successful business, but also, the technical side of, cutting grass and fertilization and all that type of stuff. And so, we started a business about 5 years ago now. And started doing lawn care and landscaping for people here in the Sandy Springs area, a little north of Atlanta where I live. And I had another business about 15 years ago that failed pretty miserably. So I kind of needed to prove to myself that I could actually do this and have it succeed on some level. So fortunately for me, I was able to do that and ran it for about 4 years. We actually ended up selling that business as I made the transition into real estate full time. But it was a good bridge to kind of connect those two worlds. A lot of my clients from that business came over into my real estate business as well, which was phenomenal. So super, super blessed and lucky to have that experience. And then to kind of bring that kind of high level customer service, client service business into this business, because that's really what this business is at the end of the day. It's relationships. So, that business was successful. We sold it off in March of 2019. And then I went full 100% into real estate about that same time. So
that's awesome. How'd you get your first lawn care client?
Great question. And I think it's a great story. I'll let you guys be the judges and jury on that. But, I had no prior experience outside of working with my grandfather who I'd, do it with on the summers, in between school and stuff. And I was 14, 15 years old. So I was still young and not all that bright. I actually got my first client. I was driving around my neighborhood and I kind of had pitched this idea to my wife at the time and was like, I think I'm going to start a lawn care and landscaping business. And she's like, why? And I was like, I mean, I like it. It's like, you're outside, you're moving around, you get some exercise. It's fun. Right. So I was driving around my neighborhood and this lady, one of my neighbors in the neighborhood here had just had a huge pile of mulch delivered to her driveway.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what are you doing with that mulch? And she's like, well, I need to spread it over here, spread it over there. I was like, okay, so if I spread that pile of mulch for you for no charge, no fee at all, but you go tell 5 of our other neighbors that I've started a lawn care and landscaping business, will you do that? And she was like, free labor? Heck yeah, I'll do it.
Right.
So she went and told the 5 of the neighbors. I spread the mulch, and the rest, as they say, is history. I kind of fired it up here in the neighborhood pretty pretty hardcore. And there was about a 6 month period where I was doing my full-time business. I worked, um, in another business, a Fortune 500 company here in Atlanta, and then did that on the side. And, slowly over about 3 or 4 months, built it up part-time to about 10 clients in January of 2015 when we officially started.
Yeah.
And then went from 10 to 20 to 40 customers in about 3 months. So it
Wow.
ramped up really, really quickly in the spring. But those that know anything about that world, spring is when a lot of people make that decision on who they're going to use, what projects they're going to do, when that money gets spent, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So going forward with your real estate business, when did you get started with that again?
Yeah, so I sold the lawn care business in March of 2019,
Okay.
and I had actually gotten my license in December of 18. So there was a little bit of overlap there, but I had my first closing in March as well,
Oh, wow.
and I actually helped a buyer purchase a property here in Atlanta, and then sold the business like a week later. So
Wow.
it all worked out timing wise very, very well. But I had
Yeah.
also built up quite a network here in Atlanta, of not just other businesses, but nonprofit executive directors. Had gotten kind of involved in the local community here as well in Sandy Springs. So I had a lot of really good contacts.
Nice. I know you told us your first lawn care story. Now you have to tell us your first real estate story. How did your first
Sure.
transaction go?
Sure. So, the first 3 months of real estate, I was still working in the lawn care and landscaping business. Again, kind of part time. I had a guy running the crew pretty much full time. And then I would just hop in when they needed help or an extra hand. And so I was really trying to focus on real estate, but trying to manage another business was really, really challenging. But
Right.
I had done it before. So I kind of figured, just just 6 months, give me 6 months.
Yeah. You gotta do it
Fortunately,
again.
at the 3 month mark, I had been working every weekend on open houses and working for other agents on their listings and just trying to get out in front of as many people as possible because not everyone wants to use someone that's brand new to this industry and they don't really trust.
Yeah.
Even though you've got your license, they want to see other people
Yeah.
take a chance on you. And so I was working an open house and a couple came through. They really liked the house that I was in, but by the time they made their offer on it, they had already accepted another offer. So she called me about a week later and was like, "Hey, we found another house around the corner. Will you go look at it with us?" And I was like, "I guess
Yeah.
I'm representing you now."
Yeah.
So yeah, it went really well. They actually didn't know it was my first transaction, but I had been an investor for about 12 years before I got my license, so I knew what I was talking about, and I was in touch with a lot of other agents that were kind of mentoring me along the way, and were working at a much higher level at the time. So
That's super
it
helpful.
went well though.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the one piece of advice that you got when you first started out in business in general, that has just kind of stuck with you throughout the years?
Oh gosh. So I've always been in like sales marketing roles, even, outside of my own businesses. That was
Mm-hmm.
kind of my area of expertise and what I was hired to do with other companies. And so in sales and marketing, you're only as good as your last at bat. And so no one cares about what you did yesterday. No one cares about what you did last year, how many homes you sold, how many, families you helped. It's really about what can you do for me. And so for me, I think my advice is, put your head down and work because that's what I did in two different businesses at the same time. And I think we really, really underestimate the amount of results that we can have in a year. And I think a lot of people get disappointed by, social media and comparing themselves to other agents that have been around for years and years and years. So my advice is put your head down and work.
Nice. And I kind of want to touch base a little bit about that transition period from your lawn company to as being in real estate. So a lot of people, they go through that transition. How do you balance that? Do you have
Yeah.
any advice of
So
how you could balance that? Because you had a lot on your
absolutely.
plate.
It's tough and it's not easy. And I think that's where you start is by saying out loud, this is
Mm-hmm.
not going to be an easy thing that, there are going to be sacrifices made along the way. I mean, the two times that I've done this in 5 years, the first time I told my wife, I was like, just give me 6 months. Give me 6 months. I'll leave that other job so that I can focus on this and put my head down and work on this and only this. And that's exactly what I did. So September of 2015, I put my head down. I got those clients, I got new customers in the door, and then we really started ramping up the business in the spring and like beginning part of 2016. Same thing with real estate. I had to get my license. Obviously, you got to go through courses and the exams and actually getting your license and the state exam itself. So even that just took a good solid like 60 days because I was still working in a full-time
Yeah.
business on the side. And so, I think it's really, really tough. So just by saying it out loud and then understanding that the sacrifice that you hopefully put in is going to be worth it at some point, but also put a time frame on it. For me, it was 6 months with the transition from corporate America to the landscaping business, and it was about 3 or 4 months between the lawn care business and the real estate business full time. So it's not easy. Say it out loud, but then put a time limit on it. And I think those are the best pieces of advice I had to give.
That's
Awesome. Yeah. So kind of going forward in the next year, do you have any goals that you want to achieve?
Sure. So this is my third full year. I'm 2.5 years in right now. And, my goal has always been to try to double my business. And so this year I'm trying to hit $10 million in volume, which is a lot. It's about a little more than 100% more than I did last year. But my grandfather gave me some really, really good advice. He said, shoot for the moon. And if you miss it, at least, you'll land among the stars. And that's true. I mean, I think even if I could do 7 or 8, 9 million, I'd be in a really, really good spot.
Yeah.
And it's just constant adjustment. I mean, as I said before, I think a lot of people really underestimate what they can do in a year, and minute judgments from people outside of your world don't mean a thing. It's really the minute adjustments that you make to your business, your systems, your clients. That's really what makes the impact and the difference.
Yeah, for sure. What is one of the biggest things you changed, like once we all got locked down during COVID? What is kind of one big thing that changed?
Yeah, it was just understanding that life as we know it is different now
Yeah.
for everyone, right? Like being understanding about scheduling and logistics is always a challenge in real estate, but now even more so when you've got kids at home from school and now working from home. I mean, just being flexible and honestly embracing technology like we have, I think, I've always been a big proponent of social media and the connection points that we can make and have there, but do not ever underestimate the belly to belly, face to face interactions that, we've all kind of really been missing in the last year. And now, at least here in Atlanta, starting to roll back into. So really being intentional with that stuff this year has been a big, big game changer for me.
Nice. That's awesome. So let's say you had to start all over today and you had $1,000. How would you spend that first $1,000?
I mean, gosh, I would go talk to probably 100 different people that know, like, and trust me already. And I'd take them out to coffee and say, what can I do to help you, your business, your family? Really, what can I do for you? Because I don't think I really did a great job of that in the first year. I think if I had $1,000 to take 100 people to coffee and spend $10 would be a great place to start, and just understanding what's important to them, recalibrating our relationship. Just because I've changed doesn't mean necessarily anything in their world has, but also find out what's important to them. Find out more about their family life, find out more about their business, maybe connections that I can give them, referrals that I can give them, to make their life better and easier and faster. And really, honestly, whatever's important to them should be important to us, I feel like.
Yeah, especially
awesome.
when you're building that relationship. That's huge.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, for sure. What's the best business book that you've read?
Oof.
Do you have a
So,
good one that you could recommend to anybody
I mean, I've
starting
got a
out?
laundry. How much more time do we have? I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 really good ones, but
Okay.
if I was going to recommend just one, if like you're getting into business, or maybe even if you've been in business for a while, whether you're entrepreneurial or not, I think a really, really good book to start off with is The Psychology of Winning. I feel like that is really the first book that I read, and I was never into self-help or any sort of like, business mastery. None of that really was on my radar. But The Psychology of Winning by Dennis Whaley was one of the first ones that I read. And for those of you that are old like me, you remember cassette tapes. I read it on a cassette. It was an audiobook. It wasn't on Audible. It wasn't on a disc. It was on a cassette. And I got it and I read it. And I really think that like that hit at the right moment for me. And it really got me understanding relationships do matter. Those connection points really can add up to a lot, and a lot more than we think. But it also changed my frame of mind. I used to be very pessimistic. I used to be very negative about just life and circumstance. It was all happening to me. I had no real control over things. And that book totally shifted my mind on that and made me believe that there is a lot more positive going on than we read about or that we think about. And when you surround yourself with people that are positive and like-minded and optimistic and come from that kind of abundance mindset, man, your world will really, really change.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how can people get a hold of you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the website's probably the easiest way. All my socials are connected there. My cell phone's there. One of my claims to fame, I think, is that, people think I'm really busy because of everything I do within business and our community and our neighborhood and everything else. But they're often surprised when I pick up my phone. So my cell phone number's there. My email's there on my website at mattlamarsh.com.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. This was a ton of fun.
Are these working?
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
It might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah, I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening to on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars,
review.
Guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
I don't think this is working.
This is not working.